In this video, we are going to practice an interesting way to use the word so. We're going to practice it in the same way it's used on page 1 of the book 1984 by George Orwell. It was one of those pictures which are so contrived that the eyes follow you about when you move. As you probably have already noticed while studying English, the word so has many uses. The way it is used here can be very useful for you, but it is definitely not normally talked about in a typical ESL class. The word so here means made in a particular way, done for a particular reason. If the way to use it is not clear yet, don't worry. Now we're going to practice using it, and at the end of this listening comprehension and fluency exercise, you will understand how to use it and what it means. Let's look at how to use it in a sentence. Here is a sentence. John parked the car in the street. John parked the car in the street. Can you repeat that sentence? John parked the car in the street. John parked the car in the street. John parked the car in the street. Now this is an active voice sentence. Let's change it to a passive voice sentence. Don't be scared that I'm asking you to use passive voice. If you're not sure how to make a passive voice sentence or what the difference is between a passive voice and an active voice sentence is, please look for my passive voice episode and review the information. I will provide a link for you. But if you are familiar with the passive voice, change this sentence, John parked the car in the street, into the passive voice. The car was parked in the street. The car was parked. The car was parked in the street. Okay, great job. Now, let's add the word so in front of the word parked. The car was so parked. The car was so parked. This changes the meaning of the sentence. It means the car was positioned in a very special way for a very special reason. So it wasn't the typical parking, but it was parked in a special way for some reason. The car was so parked. Let's make a why question with that sentence. The car was so parked. Why was the car so parked? Why was the car so parked? This question means, why was the car parked in a very special way? What was the reason for parking the car in this particular way? To give the answer, we'll use the infinitive form of the verb. Here is the reason: to avoid scratches from other cars. To avoid scratches from other cars. Let's put both of these ideas together. The car was so parked to avoid scratches from other cars. The car was so parked to avoid scratches from other cars. The car was parked in a special way, maybe far away from other cars, or maybe at an angle. Did you ever see that somebody has a very expensive car and then they park it using like 3 spaces so that no car can park near it? This is what we're talking about. The car was so parked to avoid scratches from other cars. All right, super duper job. Let's try another example. We'll start with an active voice sentence. They built the house. They built the house. Let's change that to a passive voice sentence. The house was built. The house was built. The house was built. Now let's add the word so in front of the word built. And this will change the meaning of the sentence. The house was so built. The house was so built. This sentence means The house is built in a special way for a special reason. The original sentence, the house was built, is a complete idea, but this new sentence, the house was so built, is incomplete because we have to say a reason. What's different about it? What was the purpose of building it differently? So let's ask a why question to find the reason that the house was built in a special way. Make a why question with the house was so built. Why was the house so built? Why was the house so built? This question means, why was the house built in a special way? What was the reason for building it differently than normal buildings? Let's give an answer using the infinitive form of a verb. To survive earthquakes. To survive earthquakes. Let's put the two ideas together. The house was so built to survive earthquakes. And what this means is the house is built in a special way, and the reason it was built in a special way was so that nothing would happen to it during an earthquake. Are you starting to get the idea of how to use so in this special way? Let's keep practicing. But before we do, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my podcast if you haven't already. Where else can you learn how to use so in such an interesting way? And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, Professor English ESL class, don't forget to press the like button. It helps my channel so much and lets me know that you want to see more content just like this. Now let's practice using so in this interesting way even more, okay? Here's an active sentence. They made the food. They made the food. They made the food. Now let's change that to passive. The food was made. The food was made. Now let's add the idea of so, meaning the food was prepared in a very special way, for a special reason. The food was so made. The food was so made. Now let's ask a why question. Why was this food prepared differently? Why was it prepared in a way that they don't normally do? What was special about it? What was the special purpose of it? Why was the food so made? Why was the food so made? The reason for this special preparation was to be extra healthy. To be extra healthy. Let's put the two ideas together. The food was so made to be extra healthy. The food was so made to be extra healthy. The food was so made to be extra healthy. All right, super duper job. Let's try one more example. She placed the flowers in the room. She placed the flowers in the room. Can you repeat that? She placed the flowers in the room. Okay, now let's make a passive voice sentence with this example. The flowers were placed in the room. The flowers were placed in the room. The flowers were placed in the room. Okay, now let's add the word so, which will add the idea that the flowers were placed in the room in a special position for a special purpose. The flowers were so placed in the room. The flowers were so placed in the room. Now let's ask a why question, because we want to know what was the special purpose for the special position of the flowers. What was the reason for putting these flowers in a very special place? There was a special reason for that. Why were the flowers so placed in the room? Why were the flowers so placed in the room? Why were the flowers so placed in the room? Okay, here is the reason. And again, using the infinitive form of the verb, we will give the reason. To make the room look more cheerful. To make the room look more cheerful. Now let's put these two ideas together. The flowers were so placed in the room to make the room look more cheerful. The flowers were so placed in the room to make the room look more cheerful. All right, fantastic job. Now, let's revisit the original sentence. It was one of those pictures which are so contrived that the eyes follow you when you move. The eyes follow you about when you move. Remember, contrived here really just means made. So let's reword it a little bit more. It was one of those pictures that was so made that the eyes follow you around when you move. This means they purposely made the picture so that when you're walking past it, it looks like the eyes are following you. That's what it means. That's the special purpose of the special design. It's been really fun practicing English with you today, and I hope to see you again here real soon. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the like button. If you want to explore all of the vocabulary and grammar of page 1 of 1984, there's a link to the entire episode in the description. See you in the next video with more interesting words and phrases. Bye-bye!